So the disciples told him, look, we've seen the Lord. And he said to them, guys, I don't know. I mean, I want to trust you. We're friends. We've known each other a long time, but unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where they were, unless I can put my hand onto his side, I don't think I can believe what you're saying. And this, to me, feels very honest, doesn't it? I mean, I know it's Easter, and we all want to believe. We wouldn't be here if not, but sometimes we just don't, right? Secondhand faith is hard, because that's what's going on here, right? Mary sees Jesus, and she struggles to believe her own eyes, but Thomas is being asked not just to trust his eyes, but to trust his friends. In fact, from the flow of the story, it doesn't even sound like Thomas was there to get to hear it from Mary. He has to hear it from the disciples who heard it from her. He's now 2 steps removed from Easter. At this point, he might as well be Kevin Bacon. And look, I know Thomas gets his moment, right? A week later, Jesus appears again, and this time Thomas gets to touch his hand and gets to see his side and gets to hear him speak. And honestly, sometimes that just doesn't seem fair to me. I mean, I identify a lot more with Thomas in his doubting, certainly more than I do in his confirmation. Because you and I, we don't get that. We have to keep trusting those who've told us good news. Except here's the thing. I think that's more true than we know. I mean, sure, there are things we can hold and things we can prove, and I can tell you the temperature right now, and you can walk out these doors and experience it for yourself. But sometimes, actually most of the time, the most important things about us are the things someone else has to remind us of, right? After all, it was Jesus saying her name that reminded Mary she was the tower of strength the disciples would need in their weakest moments. And sure, there are moments where we, like Thomas, get exactly what we ask for, but let's be honest, those are few and far between. Most of the time, we have to learn how to become that for each other. And yes, I can say that you are loved, and I can say that you are valued. I can tell you you are important. I can tell you that the universe is not indifferent to you. But for resurrection to arrive at some point, I'm going to need to prove those words to you. On Easter Sunday, resurrection arrived in the world, but for 2,000 years now, you and I, we have been tasked with passing it along. And it is more than a story. It's Thomas, it's our loved ones, it's our neighbors coming to us and saying, prove it. Let me put my hand in yours. Let me see what you are willing to give. Help me believe in the beauty of this universe. Gerard Manley Hopkins once wrote that Christ plays in 10,000 places, lovely in limbs and lovely in eyes not his, to the Father through the features of humanity's faces. That is resurrection. The good news that love won, now embodied in our posture toward each other. Because you are what I have to trust when I'm doubting like Thomas. And you are my Mary when I lose sight of the story. We, together, we are the tower that still stands some 2,000 years later to say that life is always stronger than death and that everything deserves a second look. See, resurrection isn't just what happened 2,000 years ago. It isn't just what happens after you die. It is what we experience together with each other, from each other. And once you start to notice it, resurrection in an emotion transformed by something as simple as a kind word, or a marriage renewed through a commitment to grace, A broken relationship reconciled in forgiveness, maybe just your imagination reinvented by even the possibility of love. Once you notice resurrection in the spring returning around you, sun on skin and rain on faces, the thing is, you actually start to notice it everywhere. And slowly, steadily, one step after step, we begin to believe in the power of resurrection. That what is good does not end. It is only transformed and then passed along in new and surprising ways.